Hello everyone, Taylor here, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to create a quick and simple slideshow in Adobe Premiere Pro. In this tutorial, I'll be going over how to set up your project so that you can quickly import photos of all sizes to fit the screen size that you're working with. Then, I'll show you how to create a background using your existing images to then finally add music and also adjust your slideshow to fit the duration of your music. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. Before we open up Premiere Pro, let's have all of our photos in a folder on the desktop and anything else that we're going to use for this project. Now with Premiere Pro open, we're going to start a new project, title it Slideshow, choose a place to save it. We'll save it in the Slideshow tutorial folder. Click OK. Prior to importing our photos, let's go over to Edit, Preferences, Timeline, and then from here you can set your still image default duration and or video transition default duration to whatever it is that you like. For this, I'm just going to keep the settings where they're at. Click OK. And now to bring in our folder of photos, we're going to come over here to the project panel, right click over where it says Import Media to start, Import, and then select our Photos folder, Import Folder. And then if we open up our folder, you'll notice that not all the photos are of the same dimension. We have some that are portrait and we also have some that are landscape. So for that, what we need to do is create a new sequence, come up to Digital SLR 1080p, and for this we're going to select the 1080p 30 frames per second, title your sequence Slideshow, click OK. Select the folder, click and drag into the timeline right at the beginning of our project. Then if we take a closer look into each photo, notice that they cover up the entire screen. And so what we can do to fix that is select all the photos, right click, and then scale to frame size. So now they all fit within the program viewer. And the reason why we select scale to frame size is that it keeps all the photos scale consistent with one another. From here, select all photos in the Video 1 layer, hold Alt on your keyboard, click, and drag up into the Video 2 layer. So now you have duplicated your slideshow. With the first layer still selected, right click and select Nest, and we'll call this Background. Click OK. From here we'll click the eyeball on Video 2 just so that we can see our nested sequence. Select your nested sequence and scale up so that it fills up the entire screen. So we'll go at 350. And then from here in the effects panel, type in blur, find Gaussian blur under blur and sharpen, click and drag onto your nested sequence, and we'll up the blurriness to 50. Then from here, double click your nested sequence just so that you can view all the photos within our background layer. Come over here to effects, type in dissolve, right click on film dissolve, select set selected as default transition, select all your photos and click Control D, and so now each of your photos has a film dissolve transition between each other. So now we'll come back to the main slideshow sequence, uncheck the eyeball so now we can see our top layer, select the second photo in your timeline and create a scale and rotation keyframe both at the beginning and end of the photo. Set the first keyframe scale value to 85 and the last keyframe to 95. And then set the first keyframe for rotation at -5 and then your final keyframe to 0. And then from here, take the film dissolve transition that we used earlier, set on both sides of the photo, and then notice how that once we put that transition that our scale and rotation occur partway through the transition, and we want it to happen at the beginning. So what we can do is select the keyframes and then just set them right at the beginning and ends of the photo. Then right click on the first two keyframes, select ease in, select the final two keyframes, select ease out. So that we don't have to do this manually for each individual photo, what we can do is right click on motion, select save preset, and we'll call this scale, rotation, click OK, and notice how this is saved under our Effect Presets folder. So then we can select all of our photos, click and drag scale rotation, and now we'll have this effect on every single photo in our slideshow. And then with all your photos still selected, just click Ctrl D to set the default film dissolve transition to all of your pictures. And so now we have a smooth transition between each photo in our slideshow. From here, with all your photos still selected, right click, select Nest, and we'll call this Top. Click OK. Then under Effects, type in Drop Shadow, select and drag onto our newly nested sequence. Come over here to Drop Shadow, set the opacity to 80%, distance to 15, softness to 25. And so now we've got a nice little shadow underneath all of our photos to add some separation in between the background and our foreground picture. Finally, to add our music, we'll double click in the project panel and then select the song that we're going to use. Click and drag into our timeline. And then to adjust the volume, what you can do is come over here to the audio tab. And since our music is in the audio 1 layer, we just come over here to audio 1, and then you can adjust your volume to the desired setting. Then once you have the music to the desired level, we'll just come back to our default layout. And then notice how that our music is just a tad bit longer than our slide. So what we can do is select both our nested sequences, then nest these all into one. We'll just call this slideshow. And then we're gonna right click on this FX icon, select time remapping, speed. And so then if we zoom in a little bit, we've got this white line right here. And so what we can do is we can click on it, and if you go down, it's gonna make it longer, or if you go up, it's gonna make it go faster. So we'll kind of come down here so it goes a little slower. Let's try 90%. And that seems to put it right where we want it. And now that our slideshow is of the same duration as our music, we can then finally add a fader to both the beginning and end of our audio and video. And thank you very much for sticking around to the end. If you found this video helpful, please help it out by giving a like and also subscribe so that you stay tuned for all future and upcoming videos. And from here on out, have a good one.